This week on Top Gear, I get to realise a schoolboy dream. Strange cars that achieve economy figures you wouldn't believe. And we go back through the mists of time to the days when tachographs were the stuff of science fiction. But we begin with an apology. Those of you who have tuned in to see a road test of the Bentley Continental will no doubt be disappointed to learn that just 2 days before we were due to film it, somebody turned it into a banana-shaped Bentley. Well, you can take heart for 2 reasons. First, you're not as disappointed as I am, and second, we've got something just as special. If I were to give you unlimited money, what car would you buy?
Ferrari, no doubt about it.
A red Ferrari.
Had to be a Ferrari, wouldn't it?
A red sports car. I think I would buy a Ferrari. Had to be a Ferrari, wouldn't it?
Odd, isn't it, that just about everyone in the world would chop off an important limb or two if it meant they could have a Ferrari? And yet the so-called experts, the people who write about cars like this in the motoring magazines, are forever telling us that you could never live with one on a day-to-day basis, that its fiery Latin temperament would be all too much after a while. Well, that may be the case with the F40, but what about the 348 here? It only costs a miserable £76,000. Surely you could live with one of these every day of the week. Well, there was only one way to find out, and yet again I had to sacrifice myself in the name of this programme. I had to drive around in this for a week. A lot of people ask these days why on earth you would spend all the extra money to buy a Ferrari when for a whole lot less you could have something like a Nissan 300 ZX. They'll tell you that it's every bit as fast, that it's just as striking, and that it's a whole lot easier to drive, and they're right. But a Nissan 300 is not a piece of motoring folklore. I'm going to go to a party tonight, and when I'm asked what sort of car I'm running around in at the moment, and I will be, I shall say a Ferrari. And I shall enjoy saying it almost as much as I enjoy driving it.
Crazy Jenny and her mission man were back in the alley trading hands. Along came Wild Billy with his Frenchy man, all good enough for Saturday night. Slammed on his coaster brakes, said anybody wanna go to Greasy Lake? It's a night out on the dark side of Route 88. I got a bottle of rosy, let's try it.
It's Christmas time, and you've got to stick to orange.
By the time we made it out to Greasy Lake.
No, it's a 3.4. You see, that's got a 3.4 litre,
3.2 litre V8
90
engine.
degrees.
It didn't have a catalytic converter. Now mine,
It's got a catalytic
That
converter.
has
The old one, the old 328, that never had a catalytic converter, so it means I can be green and fast.
And she kissed me just right like a lonely angel can. She felt so nice, just a song that is buried in the night, all night. Janie don't know what she do to her. Spirits in the night, stand right up and let her shoot through it.
So the lady looks fine, but unfortunately you're unsuitably dressed.
I thought a Ferrari was supposed to open doors. Didn't have much luck with that one. In a morning, you'd probably expect a Ferrari to be harder to coax into life than Lazarus, or a nightclub bouncer. But with fuel injection, it's up and running the instant you turn the key. Turning the wheel is a deal harder, but once extricated from its overnight slot, I was off for another day of soaking up the admiring glances, snarling past people at 30 miles an hour in a car that can top 160. Daft? Yes, of course, but surely only as daft as buying a four-seater and then spending 90% of the time all on your own in it. You could certainly never accuse the 348 of wasting space. Now, I fit just fine, but Yuletide foliage, well, that's another story. Squeezing things into a Ferrari, then, is hard work. But squeezing the Ferrari through things is not as hard as you might imagine. The visibility's good, but from time to time, I did wish other drivers would give it a wider berth. Mainly because if it had been damaged, someone would have come and taken it away. I'm not going to pretend that a Ferrari's easy to drive. This is not heavy, this is my clutch. Same goes for the steering, and the gearbox can be a bit recalcitrant first thing in the morning. So no, the Ferrari is a pain when you're in a traffic jam. But all cars are a pain when you're in a traffic jam. The difference is, in a Ferrari, you can at least dream of the day when absolutely nothing else would do.
Filling up a car with petrol is always an expensive business, and I wonder how far this tankful is going to take me. Well, from here in Birmingham, with a bit of luck, I should get about as far as Aberdeen. But if this car was as efficient as the most economical car ever, then believe it or not, with the same tank full of petrol, it could take me twice round the world. Mind you, the car wouldn't look quite like this. This bizarre collection of wingless birds gliding around Silverstone's club circuit was competing in the 14th Shell Mileage Marathon. It's an event dedicated not to speed, like most at Silverstone, but economy. How far can you go on a gallon? Or rather, how little fuel do you need to cover 7 laps at a minimum average speed of 15 miles an hour? For some, it means a very sophisticated design based on pretty fundamental parameters.
It looks kind of a needle shape, or rather, if you look from the side, it looks like a shoe. And what we did when we started designing them was we placed our driver back then. He was lying on his back on a table, Then we kind of projected his shadow on the wall and placed the engine on it and draw the outline for those